check. Axle when rolling, check. In this episode of the Road to Restoration series, we will be completely dismantling everything from the Drift Trike frame, starting off with the clutch, which somehow still became movable from the rotary motion of the engine. For the first two episodes, I'm going to bring you two types of narratives in this video. The first one in this episode will be a vocal voiceover, where I will be talking live and explain what is going on in the video. The second style will be, in the next part, will be completely silent on-screen subtitles, inspired by fabrication YouTubers like M&N Projects. When that video comes out, I would like you to go to my Instagram and vote for your favorite style. And additionally, in the video description later, choose the style you want with the poll I will have there. For both cases, I will have most of the videos sped up to avoid long episode lengths and for the video to make sense. The first thing to take care of was disassembling the components of the wiring harness. I'm starting from back to front with this teardown and clipping all zip ties here at first. Then it was time to move on to the rear axle assembly. I took off the 6 nuts holding the rear wheels in place, and then I put the hex nuts back on the threads to keep them from being misplaced on accident. I loosened up the shaft collars and the wheel hubs holding it in place, and then removed it from the final assembly. Next up, I removed the 4 bolts and nuts holding the engine down. It was easy as taking the impact driver and wrench combo and breaking them free. The reason behind the bolts being on the underside of the frame is to reduce risk from them getting bent on another curb hit. I then disconnected all the wires from the electric start switch box to the engine, and additionally removing all the throttle cables from the assembly so the engine can be removed from the frame. One more spot to make the engine free was the bolt attached to the seat on the chain guard. And then I decided at first I might want to repaint the Polestar cover, but we will see on forth down the road whether or not I do this. Finally, the engine could come off, and all that was left to do was to remove the rear axle assembly from here. I first started by removing the 2 pillow block bearings from the assembly, so then I can advance to removing the shaft collars for the drum brake, the brake band, and the rear sprocket from that. And I accidentally let the frame tip over due to the unbalanced weight, but it's fine. The seat was ready to be removed from the assembly, so then I could further disconnect the ground from both the switch box and the battery terminal going to the negative post. We are getting pretty close now, which, speaking of which, the switch box itself was easily removed with the existing Phillips screw holding it in place, and then it was off to disconnect the ground from the headlight as well. I removed the 2 brackets holding the switches together, which I will weld together later on so I don't have to hold them in place and keep them from being offset, if that makes any sense. Then the hose clamp holding the front light and the Roadmaster badge was next. I had to use a Phillips scrubber to peel off the super glue, and then later on when I go to sand this thing I had to get off the residue. After removing the front handlebars, I also removed the front fork, keeping all the components to that assembly together. There's a couple of loose balls from the ball bearings holding to the forks. But finally, it was time to cut the bent light bar from the rear to the frame. After cutting along the welds and pounding it a couple times with the ball peen hammer, yeah, I think the rest was history from here on out. So I went ahead and finished cleaning up all the weld globs and the mess from previous welding attempts, since these will not be visible in the final product. It was quite messy on that rear engine plate there, so I took my time with both the cutoff wheel and the grinder wheel, and then I moved on to where the battery tray used to be too. I'm looking for a clean surface to weld on with no bumps or little gapping globs, and the rest is history. Well, we made it this far, folks. Everything's all taken apart. including the front fork, engine and all. So since you know all this stuff is out here, I'm gonna have to give another shout out to Go Power Sports for the performance upgrades, BMI Carts for the rest of the hardware that I've gotten, and well, Northwest Technologies for fabricating this frame for me. So if you want, if you're actually interested in what parts I actually have all laid out here, I'll leave a link in the description, including the GX200 electric start kit, where you can find those, and you can watch my electric start video on how to do that. Now, before I go, something I'm going to consider actually is, you know, this. Now, when I was beating it off, and when it got shut over here, I put the seat back on for a second, and it looks like this gives me an idea of making a backing plate, or a little backing plate to help stop some of the flex. And maybe we can attach it to our chain guard a little bit by maybe welding a piece or something. Whatever we can find that will work, you know, to get more stability of that chain guard. And actually, it would work perfectly. It would help elude the holes in the seat. Well, which fortunately might stay there for the time being. But no, if we get a piece of flat stock and then replicate this, and then get one more carriage bolt, you know, we'd be set. I thought about using this piece, but at the same time, you know, it's garbaged up and a little bent disproportionately. And of course, we have our holes in our slots. And I actually want to scrap this, or just use it for scrap metal. So we're not going to use this, just because, and also it would be nice to make a new piece. So that can go away. But yeah, anyway, that takes off a lot of stuff on our list. So let's review what we did. Alright, so here we are with Bandit's Road to Restoration list. Here's what we got so far. So we didn't get to the twist throttle yet. We did not weld on we are going to still consider welding the engine switch and the light switch. The headlight hose cut we haven't done yet. Let's see. We inspected the axle, so that's all good. The drivetrain will be realigned later. We have to retension the chain and double check the axle. Let's see. Yes, teardown. Here we go. So we inspected the engine. It's good. We did the test fire and everything's good. The clutch apparently is still loose because the shaft bolt loosened out. So we'll put some thread locker on that, make sure that clutch is on securely. We did not check the oil, but I'll do that off camera. Inspect the frame for leveling concerns. We will take care of that in the next part. We inspected the wheel hubs. We've checked the sprocket and hub. Those are clean. We removed the seat bolts. We undid all the wire looms, and we removed the engine. Light plate we just cut off, and then we cleaned the welding messes. And then let's see, what else do we got here? And no, that's it. We've made a good dent in the road to restoration, folks. So in the next one, we're going to be working on cleaning up the frame for painting, and then checking to see if it's level and whatnot. Now, I did say in the last part that I wanted to go with a gunmetal gray. I took a second look because I didn't see gunmetal gray before, and I had instant thoughts. So we're going with this stuff. It's a Rust-Oleum Universal Metallic Flat Soft Iron. It's a nice gray. It has a little bit of a contrast to the charcoal gray here. I wouldn't mind using that, but if you can see here, it's got a little bit of that flake. I don't know if I can get up to that. But again, it's really hard to see on camera, but in person it would look wonderful. That's a comparison with charcoal gray. It's like a dull color, and it's gloss. We got a metallic here. I might have to get another can. We'll see. Put that back. And then as far as the wheels go, we're going to be repainting those. But again, keep that front wheel. Oh, actually, you know, I take that back. Since the spokes are black. Wait a minute, I take that back as well, because we're going to be replicating the hot rod scheme here, and it can match up perfectly with the wheel here. Because what I am going to repaint the wheels to is, of course, black. This is a gloss paint and primer one, just black. Period. It looks glossy, and of course we'll put a clear coat on all this stuff. I got the hammered clear coat here. It's a durable top coat. And yeah, that's what we're going with, folks. And then I got another can of gray in there, and I have the thread locker, and I have some air filter treatment, because I might want to remove that dust cover, or where to go, on that thing just to show off the blue, but then it might turn into like a magenta because that spray is red or something. But anyway, folks, that's going to do it for this episode of The Road to Restoration. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. If you do, smash that thumbs up button. It helps out the channel a lot and gets seen by a whole bunch of people. And, while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and share the video while you're at it, too. I know I said that twice, but, it's been a long day. But anyway, guys, I have been Caden or Nighthawk, and, well, I'll see you guys later. Peace.